Yeah, good morning. And we are live now. So I would request all the speakers to kindly put on their video. And good morning and a warm welcome to Rajasthan WomenPreneur Summit. And the aim and objective of this program, in fact, this program is long overdue. We had planned this sometime in February, March, but then this COVID thing delayed it further. And it's a delight that we are able to do it. And we have a good panel of speakers throughout the day. And with these words, I would request Dr. Ajay Data, Chairman of FICCI Rajasthan Subcommittee on Entrepreneurship and Founder and CEO of Data Ingenious Global Limited, for his opening remarks. Over to you, Dr. Data.
Good morning, everyone here. It's early morning. Good morning, Omkar sir, Ma'am, Neeta ji, Chintan ji, Atul ji, Chandan Arora, everybody else. Great to see you. Omkar ji is looking also like a professor. We are going to listen your wisdom talk today, sir. Long time I have heard. So I welcome you all officially on behalf of FICCI, and just to set the context of our discussion for the today and make it more meaningful. I think we have some stats which we all know probably, but just for the sake of audience and the record, we have approximately 65 million entrepreneurs in India. And out of that, approximately 15% are women. Indian women own businesses employ only 15 million people, which are owned by women. In the startup scene in the last 5 years, we had only 4% of the funding went to the women-led entrepreneurs startup businesses, which is quite low from that perspective. And you see the McKinsey report for in 2015, little old for today's context, but we can extrapolate the time which has gone, that we women entrepreneur participated in equity. If participated in equity and equally like men in India, we could reach 2.9 trillion economy in India by 2025. So we are not very far. 5 years from there, if we cut the lockdown and account for this scenario, we can actually have much more powerful ecosystem when equally women entrepreneurs participate in that. Very good data is around tech, which I directly represent in. 30% workforce in tech is women. That's a great number. And especially on mid-size, which is entry level and below, it is around 50. BPM, call center, that's a large number IT industry employ. And of course, we have few names in India who have become billionaire out of startup ecosystem, which are led by women in the startup scene. While saying that, I think this new post-corona era, I happen to call it, is that the time is changing. We do not know how long tunnel is. So contactless economy is obviously taking place. Contactless means when we are not allowed to meet, when we are not allowed to interact. Of course, we love to do so in our natural life, but this is not happening right now. For entrepreneurs, this is not even a bottleneck for the time being. And I see women taking a much more advantage of the situation because of many reasons. One, you need not to travel. Women need not to travel. They can be employed any company in the world. This has opened up. This was even there before. ऐसा नहीं है पहले नहीं था, ये पहले भी available था, but now it has just opened up that opportunity that everybody can work from home, and that is what is happening in a big way. When somebody has to work from home, there is no need to travel, there is need not to go to office, there is no long distances, and you can balance the life, children, and home and work much more better than before. This situation has arisen. I think it's a great opportunity for hiring everybody who is just sitting at home and could not travel, could not join a desired and preferred company, now can work from home. I welcome you all. I am not going to eat up a lot of time here. So leave these thoughts to the panelists and listen all of you from your words of wisdom, experience. We have wonderful, powerful knowledge people here. So thank you all for joining, and I welcome you all. And let's welcome our Neeta ji for addressing the keynote. Thank you.
Namaskar. Mr. Bakshi. Thank you, Ajay ji. But is it Mr. Bakshi going to speak?
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you, Dr. Data. Now I would request Mr. Chintan Bakshi, the CEO of Startup Oasis, for his theme address. And he is leading the startup movement in Rajasthan and an alumnus of IIT and IIM Bangalore. So I would request you, Mr. Bakshi, to take this from here.
Thank you, Atulji. Am I audible?
Yes, audible.
Yeah. So thank you very much. Good morning to everyone. Wonderful to be here at this WomenPreneur Summit. As Atul, we have been planning it for quite some time, but then because of various reasons we couldn't do it. And I think perhaps COVID came as a advantage also that we were able to quickly design it and do it online. So I think very excited to be here. So this is a 2-day event. Perhaps Atul maybe or Rahul will give a brief overview, but we have today, after the addresses, etc., we have a panel discussion, and then tomorrow we have 6 startups, women entrepreneurs who will be pitching. I'll talk about them briefly. Just something about Startup Oasis and how we have been helping women entrepreneurship. As Ajay ji mentioned, around 15% of businesses in India are women-led businesses. So, at Startup Oasis, when we started, I was just taking out some data. Before 2016, we were focusing more on tech-based startups, the conventional internet, consumer internet kind of startups. And our percentage of women-led startups that we had supported was as low as 6%. So much lower than the figure that Ajay ji mentioned of 15%, but right now it stands at about 25-26%, and that's happened because of 2-3 reasons. We focused in 2016 on social impact and social entrepreneurship. We did a project called Invent along with DFID, UK Aid, and Technology Development Board, Government of India. And that's where we realized that women have a much larger percentage of social enterprises. I mean, it's still lesser than men-led startups, but as compared to tech startups, it's significantly higher, perhaps 30-35%, which is why our average came up to about 25%. That was one, and we got being based in Rajasthan, we got a lot of startups or women entrepreneurs which were doing businesses, tech-based businesses around crafts, the traditional heritage of Rajasthan, etc. So a lot of them are women-led, as I mentioned. In addition to that, we have also started 2 more specifically women-focused programs. We are doing a program called Her and Now. Department of Science and Technology Rajasthan is also separately a partner along with directly with GIZ on policy, etc. But we are doing the implementation of the program. This is a program which is completely focused on helping about 105 women entrepreneurs from Rajasthan to scale. It's a 2-year program. We have completed 1 phase of the program. The second phase is going on. Of course, second phase is now happening virtually, but what we are realizing is that there may be some sort of drawbacks in some shape or form, but there are advantages also. We're trying to see how the advantages can be strengthened further. We are also doing a program with Invest India. It's a program called Wing, which is a very early stage program to almost evangelize entrepreneurship amongst very early stage women entrepreneurs. We are doing this in 4 states. Of course, this is also now going to start very soon and it will be done virtually, but the focus will be on the 4 states of Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra, and Goa. In addition to this, another quick specific accelerator program that we had done on crafts. It was called the Craft Catapult. Why I'm mentioning it is because I think out of the 15 startups that were part of the accelerator, maybe 11 or 12 were women-led startups. It was a national program where we were helping craft startups, but it essentially turned out to be a very woman-centric program, and therefore that's how we got some understanding of the gender lens as far as startups are concerning. And I'll just quickly take 2-3 more minutes and quickly talk about some of our learnings that we have had over these last perhaps 3 to 4 years of supporting women entrepreneurs. So, I mean, there are 3 or 4 very clear areas or gaps which we see, which are essentially become bottlenecks for women startups to scale up. Still, venture capital funding in India in women-led startups is, I think, significantly below 10%. I may not have the exact figure, but it's very low. While the number of startups in general are increasing, the venture funding and institutional funding is fairly low. One of the things is that team management was one of the things that we saw that, while entrepreneurs are good at multitasking, but once a formal sort of a team starts getting formed, and perhaps in most circumstances it tends to be a male dominated team, especially if there is some component of tech, etc., there are challenges which need to be solved. I mean, this is not a huge challenge. It can very easily be solved with some level of capacity building, etc. A couple of other important gaps that we have seen. One is in terms of application of technology. While Ajay ji was talking about perhaps 30%, women in the white collar workforce in tech companies, but perhaps we haven't seen a lot of the tech talent coming out and doing startups or coming in as CTOs. I mean, the CTOs in most women-led startups, in our experience, tend to be males. And if it's a woman-only entrepreneur, technology generally tends to become a challenge. That's what we have seen, and we are trying to see how we can fill that in our programs through various means. And finally, there's another gap that we have seen is in funding. There's probably a need for more women-specific funding. There's probably a need for and in the US and some other countries, there are these angel networks, mentor-cum-angel networks, which are operated by women. So maybe FICCI Flow and other organizations in Rajasthan could play a pivotal role in trying to set up something like that. So these are 3 or 4 gaps that we saw. Of course, one more gap that we saw was on financial discipline and financial skills, etc. So all of these things we are trying to cover through our future programs, etc. So these are 4 things which I wanted to quickly highlight as our learnings. Regarding tomorrow, as I had mentioned, we have 6 startups that will be presenting to a panel of investors, mentors, business people, a lot of them through the FICCI network. And we'll try to see how they can partner with more formal businesses, mentors, etc., and scale up their enterprises. So I'll quickly take a minute to talk about these 5 or 6 startups. So there is Remarkable Education from Jodhpur. They are into career guidance, and they are now trying to use a technology platform. They would typically do it through face-to-face, through workshops, etc. But now they're trying to see how they can use technology. We have Logos Transformation. They are based in Jaipur. They have a very interesting model. They work with the differently abled people and train them, especially ones who have good language skills across languages in India. Not just English, but Marwadi, Gujarati, I think 6 or 7 languages. And they train them, and these people then become like an outsourced team of people who can work from home and provide content to companies. So they're working with quite a few companies. So they're trying to scale up. There's a company called Digification from Udaipur. They are again trying to do digital skills with a focus on women and students through a tech platform. There's a company called MadNext, which is again trying to fill a very critical gap of SMEs not having understanding of social media, branding, etc. So they are trying to digital marketing, etc. They're trying to bridge that gap. We have Mysa Creations, which is a B2C high value price, right priced kind of company, which is trying to sell to the youth, sustainable fashion, etc. And finally, we have Sutrakar, which is again sustainability focused. They are using recycled paper to create home decor products as an alternative for wood and other such materials. So these are the 6 startups, part of some of our programs, which will be presenting tomorrow. So again, thank you very much, FICCI, for doing this wonderful program. On behalf of Startup Oasis, I would like to invite the other panel members and the audience for these 2 days of interaction.
Yeah, thank you, Chintan. And I would now like to invite Ms. Neeta Boochra, who is past president of FICCI Ladies Organization and chairperson of Silver Center and Luxescalp. Neeta ji is architect of the FICCI Flow movement in Rajasthan and is the only person from Rajasthan who is the national president of this organization. And FICCI Flow has gained a lot of strength in Rajasthan. In fact, she is still the guiding force behind the movement in Rajasthan. And besides this, she is also co-chair for India of SARC Chamber of Women Entrepreneur Council, which is a platform for developing and promoting women entrepreneurship in South Asian region. She is also trustee and board member of Talent Comics India, affiliated to Talent Comics in INC USA. And her vision is to bring gender parity at leadership level and to develop 1 lakh capable, competent, connected, and credible women leaders across the sectors and regions. So, over to you, Neeta ji.
Namaskar, everyone. And thank you, Atulji, for this very nice introduction. And Dr. Data for your wonderful inputs, and so as Mr. Bakshi. So, a very good morning to all the panelists and to the virtual audience watching us. Unprecedented times, new challenges, new opportunities. Invest in yourself and enrich the portfolio of your life. Upskill yourself in every aspect, because every opportunity is a challenge and every opportunity provides us to grow, expand, and excel. Post-COVID challenges journey towards an inclusive entrepreneurship ecosystem. Before that, let me tell you about FICCI Flow. And thank you so much for having me speak on a topic which is so close to my heart. FICCI Flow is the women wing of the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry. It has 17 chapters pan-India with its head office in New Delhi. The main vision is to promote entrepreneurship and professional excellence in women. And this it does at the grassroots level, the middle level, and the senior level. At the grassroots level, we empower women with earning economically. Mid-level is like upscaling their businesses. And at the senior level, upgrading them to be on the boards of companies. This year, Flow National has launched a Flow Compendium of 100 women entrepreneurs in MSME, 1,200 women at the grassroots level, and has done Flow Startup Incubator Awards. All these with the meta goal of women empowerment at all levels. And on the lighter side, and which is very genuine, nothing empowers a woman than her own money in her pocket. So that is the main goal, economic empowerment. Today, I truly appreciate the President of the FICCI Rajasthan State Council, Mr. Ashok Kajaria ji, for all his support towards such kind summits. Mr. Atul Sharma ji, Mr. Rahul, and the entire FICCI team. Startup Oasis and FICCI Flow Jaipur and its chairperson, Wandana Parnami and her team. And each one of you for viewing this summit and for the gift of your time. Coming to the topic, new success mantra of this new world order is collaboration and cooperation. Adapt, innovate, become solution-oriented. Techno-mobility era has started. The new realization is this, that businesses will need to go from traditional to digital. And we've got many technocrats on our panel today. One thing common to all of us Indians is that we all are jugadus. At the same time, resilient too. As the national president of FICCI Flow, I had the privilege to host Sheryl Sandberg, the Chief Operating Officer of Facebook. And what she had to say is very important and pertinent to each one of us. When you're offered a seat on a rocket ship, Do not ask what ship, just hop on. So this is most important. COVID has taught us that we cannot change anything outside us. What we need to change is within ourselves. In business and in life, we have two options: control the situation or let the situation control you. The decision is to us ourselves. Ideate, reinvent with renewed energy. It is only you yourself who can change your future, your destiny. Each one of us present here on the panel and viewing us is unique, incomparable, and unstoppable. The question is, who is ready to take the initiative? Who is ready to be like the sponge and absorb? Knowledge is power. Whatever field you are in, whatever you wish to pursue, have complete knowledge about it. And for that, you'll have to work hard. One of the major issues that women face is access to finance. May I tell everyone that for this simple thing, access to finance, collateral-free loans, please log on to the MSME website and a whole new world will open to each one of us. Mahatma Gandhi likened women's power to an ancestral treasure lying buried in the corner of a house, unknown to the members of the family. We simply cannot afford to lose 50% of the smartest and most capable people. To tackle society's most pressing problems, we need to unleash the leadership qualities of both men and women. And this time is long overdue to encourage more women to dream the possible dream and encourage more men to support them, women in the workforce and at home. What I'm further going to share is something is known to all of us, but a booster dose is definitely required at all times. I hope my panelists agree on this. It's very difficult to be just talking to the screen only, so that is why. Some keys to success. I'll start with 6 P's. Passion. Passion is energy. जुनून होना पड़ेगा हमें जो भी हम करना चाहते हैं. Positivity. Once we start replacing negative thoughts with positive thoughts, we'll start getting positive results. Third, perseverance. Success is the child of drudgery and perseverance. Then I'm now going to talk about 3 skills. Start with P. First is the people skills. We need to learn how to connect with people, our interpersonal skills. All these are very important. Second is persuasion skills that we all know. Our negotiation skills, our persuasion skills are so important. How easily we are able to convince the other person to our point of view, to our thought process. And third, in this digital world, it is most important. That is prioritization. Because we have the whole 24 hours to ourselves, it is us who will decide how to discipline those 24 hours. And it is also imperative that we take our whole self along with us, whether we are at work, from home, or at home. That means we need to be a full-time professional when we are working. We need to be a full-time homemaker when at home, full-time mother, or a full-time daughter, full-time daughter-in-law, and so on. And one very simple thing. Being a superwoman is not a prerequisite for success. This we all need to remember. Ambition is not necessarily bad. We women need to accept that ambition is not a bad word. You can verbalize your wishes and desires. Be a student for life. Never stop learning. Never stop acknowledging and giving credit to others. There's no great recipe for success. Real success happens when we use ourselves to our full potential. Integrity is paramount, and it is the moral compass. There are no shortcuts, no quick fixes, stopgap arrangements on the road to success. What we need to do? We need to do focused, hard work with a razor-sharp focus on our goal. To shatter the glass ceiling, we need to definitely work hard, put in long hours, and keep ourselves prepared for any situation. Because only those who dare to fail greatly can ever achieve greatly. Because history shows that adversity brings out the best in champions. We can do extraordinary things if we believe we can. It is not possible always to succeed. So it is important to learn from our mistakes. Time management is an art well learned. Everyone will agree. What is more important is make your support networks your pillars of strength. This will definitely make the dual responsibility of work and home manageable. Me time is essential to rejuvenate. So pursue your hobbies, reading, gardening, gymming, cooking, whatever. Work and family are two crystal balls that we, the perennial jugglers, try keeping in the air without letting them fall to the ground. It is very important to juggle them very well. I'm often asked whether being a woman, I faced any gender-specific challenges over the years. My answer is in the negative. Why? Because I firmly believe that if one has the leadership qualities, gender has no role to play in success. A man or woman is not defeated till he or she quits. Self-confidence has immense power. When we start believing in ourselves, magic starts happening. Because willpower defeats all power. Drid ichha shakti hi sab kuch hai. So we need to work together, pray together, and grow together. Now I'll just share 4 principles of 4 A's, which will make life a cakewalk for each one of us. First A is appreciate. Learn to appreciate others, the smallest of the things or the biggest of the things. Right now, if your spouse has helped you in any way today for this session, just say a nice thank you to him and appreciate him. Accept situations as they are. The second A is accept. Accept situations as they are and adapt to them. Third is very important. Adjust to people, adjust to situations. And the fourth is adapt. In this new world order, this adapt word is very important. बौद्ध दर्शन का एक सूत्र वाक्य है, अपो दीप भव. Be your own light. अपनी प्रेरणा स्वयं बने. Instead of depending on others, Be an inspiration to your own self. In the end, quoting from the Upanishads, you are always what your deep driving desire is. As your desire is, so is your will. As is your will, so is your deed. As is your deed, so is your destiny. We are the masters of our own destiny. और अंत में हौसलों के तरकश में उम्मीद का वो तीर जिंदा रखो. हौसलों के तरकश में उम्मीद का वो तीर जिंदा रखो. हार जाओ सब कुछ मगर जीतने की उम्मीद जिंदा रखो. Thank you so very much to each and everyone. It's been lovely connecting to everyone, seeing all the panelists, Mugdha ji, Namita ji, Miss Dr. Omkar, Ajay ji, Atul ji, Chintan ji. Thank you so very much to each and every member who has been a part of this. Over to you, Mr. Atul.
Thank you, Neeta ji, for a motivational and charged up address. And we learned 4 A's, P's beyond the 4 P's of marketing that we learned in management. So thank you for that. And now I would request Miss Namita Gautam, Director, Sheela Group of Companies. She, the makers of India's most trusted brand, Sleepwell, since 1984. And she is an experienced HR resource specialist with extensive knowledge in training and marketing. She has held various positions in senior group of companies. And she was also the national president of FICCI Flow in 2004-5, and she founded a very vibrant young Flow, the youth wing of FICCI Flow during her tenure. So over to you, madam. Welcome and over to you.
Good morning, Mugdha ji, Ajay ji, Atul ji, and colleagues, my colleagues of this on this virtual dais, and of the next session, and my dear young friends. So I was wondering what to tell you. I think Neeta has told most of the things. She has left very little for me to talk to. So I'll start with the story of our company and the founder of our company. As Atul ji told, that the name of the company is Sheela Foam. It was started by my mother-in-law in 1971. She became a widow at the age of 38 and had 2 teenage children. No business background. She was an army officer's wife having a very cozy life. But she became a widow at 38 in the year 1969. That time these words empowerment and entrepreneur, I think, did not even exist. But that is the time she got an opportunity to start a small scale industry from the army quota to make polyurethane foam, which was a very, very highly technical industry. She had no money, no knowledge of business, and no experience whatsoever. What she had was a steely determination, a strong intention to work hard, and huge self-confidence. And above all, she had an excellent value system. With these armaments, she took up the challenge and started the company. Not only that, in the year 1991, when the next generation had taken over or they had already got involved in the business, she took a turn and joined the public life and went on to become 4 times Lok Sabha member from a very tough constituency of Aligarh, which is a very, very tough constituency. Now, today the company is in its 50th year. My mother-in-law passed away last year, but not before ensuring that the company is in safe hands and good shape. From a 3 lakh loan to start the business, the company has come a long way to a 3,000 crore turnover group. From a small scale business in 1971, now it has a global presence. We have 2 running companies, one in Spain and one in Australia. We acquired those 2 companies, and 10 plants all across India. Not to forget a very respected brand, Sleepwell. But our value system remains the same. as it was in 1971. And that is what I'm going to focus on, that whatever you do, it is not overnight that you become successful, or it's very important to, it's very easy to become successful once, but to sustain success is a very difficult thing and requires a solid value system. I'm sure these youngsters have done all their studies. They might be MBAs or technology experts. They must have done their SWOT analysis, chosen their businesses, done market research, and made all the business plans. So I'm not an expert on that, and I'm not going to talk on that. What I'm going to tell is what I have learned in the 35 years of working in the company. And these are the things that we have learned. We practice every day. I call them dust. These are 10 tips that I would like to give. Some of them Neeta has already told, so I will just pass that on. And these are guiding principles of our organization, our activities, and our business. I call them dastak because they keep tapping on us so that we don't forget. So first is, like Neeta said, have integrity. When it comes to business, it is very, very important to have integrity towards all your stakeholders, whether they are suppliers, customers, or your financials. Be honest in whatever we are doing and stick to the commitments. In the last 50 years, we have not even once defaulted on payment to the suppliers on an installment of a loan. So needless to say, it has added to our credibility and reliability, which is very, very important in sustaining success. Keep learning, like Neeta has said. Don't sit on your laurels, and especially in these changing times, make not only you learn, make your organization a learning organization. Keep skilling, upskilling, unskilling your associates, and your employees. And it is important that you have done all this. You have to, in your environment, whether it is a supplier, whether you are distributor, dealer, everybody you have to upskill or empower. Have passion for excellence. Neeta talked of passion. I say have passion for excellence, because whatever you do, your business can be very small, very big, but try to excel in whatever you are doing. It can be very small, but be best in the field that you have chosen to be. Hard work, there is no substitute for it. The success does not come easy. It might look very rosy from outside, but it's a 24/7 job. Be ready for it. And my P is be very proactive. These days, you should not be only looking at your competitor, or you have to look at your suppliers, you have to look at your buyers, you have to look competition not only in your industry, throughout the environment, and even global. You don't know when somebody can come and wash you out. So don't forget the old adage, a stitch in time saves 9. Be adaptable and resilient. We have all learned Darwin's law of survival, that it is the survival of the fittest. But when it comes to business, it is the survival of the most adaptable. Adapt to the changing environment. Take a U-turn if you have to. If you have reached a crossroad, take a U-turn. There is nothing, there should be no ego about it that we have to take back what we have started. I also say dream big but act small. Promise less but deliver more. Reduce cost and expenses and increase revenue and saving. They come very handy in tough times like these days. And not only that, it will add to your customer delight. Be socially responsible. Give back to society whatever you can from day one. Don't wait when you will have profits. I think in old time they used to say that 1% of your profit should go for the society's thing. So whether you do that or not, but be very responsible towards the environment. Don't do any pollution, don't add to any pollution, whether it is air, water, or earth. And disposal system, employment, give fair wages and perks to your workers. Don't encourage child labor and unlawful practices from day one, and continue doing that. And third is the empowerment, which we have already said. Keep empowering your people so that they are always relevant for you. There is no substitute for loyalty. So for the loyal people, it is your duty to empower them. And next, what I say, ninth of my tip is that stay well. If you want your business to be fit, you have to be fit also, whether it is physical wellness, creative wellness, intellectual wellness, emotional wellness, or spiritual wellness. Stay well. Take out time for your well-being. And business, I feel, is a marathon, not 100-meter race. So you have to remain fit all the time. And 10th, don't forget, last but not least, is do your best and leave the rest to God. But remember, God helps only those who help themselves. So God is not a substitute for hard work. So I only hope that these small little tips we have practiced. These are part of our vision statement, and we practice them every day. Every of our meetings starts with our vision statement. I think these are reminders that you have to follow these practices. And that's it for me. And before I conclude, I want to thank FICCI Rajasthan, Mr. Chintan, Bakshi, my dear friend Neeta, who has given me this opportunity to be in this forum. I also extend my best wishes to all the panelists. And for all the sessions, my friend Apra and Wandana from FICCI Ladies Organization, we have a very strong bond of FICCI Ladies Organization, and all the prospective entrepreneurs. I wish you good luck in whatever you do, and I'm sure you will do well and make India the India of our dreams. An India where everybody thinks well, acts well, and of course, sleeps well. Thank you.
Thank you, Namita ji. In fact, it's quite a positive address in these slightly depressing times. And now I would request Ms. Mugdha Sinha, Secretary, Science and Technology, Government of Rajasthan, for her keynote address. She is a senior IAS officer, 1999 batch. She has held various positions with Government of Rajasthan and Government of India. Prior to this, she was Secretary, Food and Civil Supplies, Government of Rajasthan, Commissioner for Delhi Mumbai Industrial Corridor, Managing Director for Rajasthan State Industrial Development and Investment Corporation Limited, and also Director of the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Textile, Government of India. She has also been collector to various districts, etc. She is an MPhil in International Diplomacy and Master of Arts in International Relations. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Atul. Very kind, gracious words will come with a lot of sense of responsibility always. And I am very, very happy and honored for this opportunity to speak my mind at the WomenPreneur Summit organized by FICCI. And I extend a very, very warm welcome to all our fellow colleagues and panelists in the virtual world of summits. So and to also our lovely audience who will be with us for this day and also tomorrow, because it's a 2-day summit. So with the gratitude and a warm welcome, I think I will straight away jump into my assigned duty for the day. Very strangely, some words were mentioned about not being apologetic about being superwomen and not having to be a superwoman to be successful. I think Neeta ji said that, and also validated by Namita ji and GIZ partner startup work that Chintan is doing. I feel that I have transitioned from my belief of being a superwoman, not because of anything, but because of the fact that as a woman, one is required to do a lot of multitasking, managing household work, and also being a professional careerist. But I think the COVID has changed that outlook and has made me feel like a spider woman now. Because one is perpetually jumping from one webinar to the other. So I think this transition needs to be noted, that women are capable not just of conquering the field of being superwoman, but also now I think being spider woman. And I think spider woman requires all the essential knowledge and tentacles, the very octopusian tentacles of the tech world. So I think with that, I will just say that COVID, this little 1 gram nano-sized invisible virus, has made everybody very, very viral and virtually available. One thing that I think personally that I have learned during this time is that balance, which is something which is associated with women and also expected of women. So today when I speak, I'm going to talk why science and technology and startup becomes very, very easy for women, should come easy to women, and this is one aspect which has not been spoken about, because in society's mindset, science and technology, including the world of startups, is seen to be a male-dominated world. If you look at the statistics, apart from what Mr. Ajay Data mentioned in his inaugural welcome speech, if I just give you an idea of what the National Task Force on Science and Women in Science talks about, you will notice that while the US, an epitome of how it works out in the West, I think 43% of women are found to be in the science streams, which is the STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and medicine. Even intra the STEM field, you will find that when you look at the STEM acronym, you will find that there are more women in engineering and less, I think, least in mathematics, followed by medicine, and maybe basic and applied sciences comes easy because our higher education is available and accessible both in terms of outreach, infrastructure wise, and also in terms of the cost wise availability. But if you look at something very interesting, we all want working women, but when it comes to, because if you see the matrimonial ads of late, the kind of working women that men want is basically teacher, professor. These are the easygoing professions, because then she can also adapt easily to the world of the domestic world, basically. So she can balance herself doing multitasking. So please notice that a quality that the society finds in women is being able to multitask, which is something which is required for the startup tech to be a entrepreneur of any kind. She is able to balance a family. She is the CEO of the family. That is what many men are very happy to, provide that kind of an encomium to women, saying that she is the home minister and I only follow the orders of my wife. So she is also a CEO of a household, a transition that she can easily make in the professional world from the skills that she acquires managing her household. Team building comes easy because she negotiates her own family and negotiates her family, the in-laws post marriage. So she's able to do that. She's able to do a lot of conflict resolution, which is also required in the world of business. She's able to grapple with a lot of conflict of interest that comes along. So she is in many ways an aggregator and failure, because the Department of Science, my predecessors have spoken a lot about success and why success is important. I take success very lightly because everybody is given 5 minutes of fame and spotlight. But I think when you work hard, you leave a legacy behind which is far greater than success, which is far important, because success can be, winked somehow, but legacy is something that comes with lot of persistence and lot of commitment to who you are. So that becomes important. And the Department of Science and Technology, in fact, science per se, promotes failure, because science is based on observation, curiosity, and a lot of experimentation. And with experimentation, you will find that there will be failures and learning from failures. So, in one of the books called The Black Swan, and also Anti-Fragile, written by one of my favorite authors, Nassim Nicholas Taleb, he says that, it is nice to be robust and resilient, but it is also important to be anti-fragile. And being anti-fragile is a quality that comes very, very easy for a woman. Because, Namita ji talked about her mother-in-law who became a widow at the age of 38. And she was able to orchestrate this great empire that she set up with absolutely no knowledge. I think that is not being robust. That is not being resilient. That is moving beyond robustness and resilience and building on the superstructure, on the very, very firm foundations of being robust. And that is what I think Mr. Taleb calls anti-fragile, learning from your bad experiences, learning from a failure that was thrust upon you for no fault of yours. So I think these are inherent qualities that women have but don't appreciate. So when people talk, and Chintan mentioned specifically, I do agree that finances, the legal contract systems, and also maybe the tech kind of thing. But COVID has done away with that, because now you see all teachers with or without any knowledge of tech are doing online, taking online classes. A lot of telemedicine is happening. People are now buying and selling over the e-commerce platform. So I think everybody, and not just women, even the geriatric population for that matter, the male. Sometimes when people talk of women empowerment, I always, I always ask them, do you think a male guard at the entrance of my building is more empowered simply by being of the male gender? Or do you think I am more empowered because I am an educated and a professional woman? So I think empowerment doesn't flow simply by being a male. It flows from a whole lot of experience, and it has nothing to do with education, mind you, because a lot of people can be smart. And I think Neeta ji mentioned about Indians being very jugaru. So I think all of these inherent qualities that come to women easily form the basis of their seamless transition from being the CEOs of their own households to managing business enterprises. Chintan mentioned something about we partnering with the Science and Technology Department, partnering with GIZ in a program called Her and Now, which was launched last year as I joined my department. This program actually tries, to look at taking a break from work. As we talk today, there is also a very, very important aspect that the COVID has brought to the forefront, which needs to be taken further by all women and men included, because this is a part. Empowerment is a collaboration, it's a partnership. And that is basically being able to take a break from work because of your other responsibilities, and to be able to seamlessly come back to work without having to make a compromise. And here I think the Department of Science and Technology does a fantastic job in two of its verticals. One I mentioned is the Her and Now program, which is basically all about upskilling and reskilling if you've taken a break, for mid-career women who want to get back into career jobs, professions, or want to go out and become self-employed. Startups, I feel, is also a very important field for the simple reason that it gives you the fungibility and flexibility, to work at your own pace in your own areas, and to be your own managers, to run your startup just the way you run your family. The family budgets are decided mostly by women, even if they are not earning. There is a certain say of what to get into the kitchen, how to arrange things. So I think women do have those qualities, but a little more professional training can help them gear up and become more smarter for the world that we. The other thing that is very important, and I've often seen when I was doing the statistics, you will find that in general, if you look at the percentage of the various streams at the undergraduate level in India, you will find that there is about 41% enrollment in the humanities and the arts stream at the undergraduate level. And this is all men and women. I'll give you a distinction of how this pans out gender wise. Then if you look at engineering, it is about 16%, basic sciences is about 12%, IT and computer sciences is about 4%, and medicine is only at about 2%. And the reason for medicine being at 2% is pretty obvious, because it takes a lot of time. A lot of time is invested in graduating and becoming a doctor, and there are other responsibilities that are expected, responsibilities of mothering a child, of having a family, raising a family. And that is why you find that medicine is a very, very specialized field in which the percentage of enrollment is less. Now, if you look at how it pans out between the two genders, you will see when I told you about science streams, arts occupies about 14%, commerce is about 20, and the rest 20 is about science. And in that 20, the women in only in US. So we have a huge, you spoke of the brain drain happening from India to the Western countries in the 70s. That brain drain was essentially a male brain drain, and the women only accompanied the men. Because we are still at about 12% in basic sciences. When you come to engineering and IT, it is both 4%, and medicine, it's very, very nominal in terms of a percentage. So I think a lot more focus needs to go. But when I looked at the PhD statistics, very interesting research. See, undergrad of engineering is about 14%. So engineers who are the maximum in the science stream, about 16%, the women, more women become engineers, then they become doctors, or then they become IT professionals. But the rate of attrition of women engineers is about 4%, because engineering post-marriage is not looked at as a very lucrative profession. Now you look at the same thing in the research, in the field of research, which is PhD. You will find that out of 24,000 PhDs in the science stream that are churned out every year from India, the women are more in terms of being, women rank higher in terms of absolute numbers and also in terms of percentage, because I think this is also a mindset that prevails in the country, that PhD can be done sitting at home. You only have to attend a few classes, so it does not, disturb the balance. So these are things that happen, and why I find that even this adversity, just like COVID, hides a huge opportunity for women, because today science is becoming a propeller for manufacturing, because lot of science is getting converted into startups. Lot of scientists are now becoming entrepreneurs, and I keep saying this, that the next phase of Make in India, based on manufacturing, with the kind of conditions that we have around today and the kind of imperatives that we have, the expediency post COVID, I think you will find, especially if you looked at what happened the moment the first lockdown and this corona thing was announced on the 2nd of March, go back to Meenal Bhosle, who was pregnant, and she was working on the corona testing kit at the Mylan lab in Pune. And despite her very, very complicated pregnancy, within 6 weeks, she was the only scientist, and also on top of that, cherry on the cake, the only woman scientist to be able to come up with India's first corona testing kit while she was a full-bodied 8-month pregnant. So I think that is anti-fragile. That is being anti-fragile. And why I say that, that in a program, in a conclave that the Department of Science and Technology did on the 30th and 31st of May called STRIDE, we showcased a lot of women entrepreneur scientists, women scientists who had transitioned into becoming women entrepreneurs based on the inherent qualities and utilizing that adverse perception of women and the requirements and expectations from them that they need to balance. So using that whole balance, the act of balance, Rajasthan is also known for the Natnis. For those of you, the people who do that rope walk. Okay, so I always think as an administrator, I align myself very much with the Natnis because when you walk the tightrope as they do of administration, you are continuously balancing. You are balancing between the conflicting interests of your stakeholders and the political executive, the public and the political executive as an administrator, keeping that integrity which both ladies before me have spoken about, because integrity also comes very easy to women, as does compassion. So I think using that principle of the Natni, it is exactly like that point that holds the top and doesn't allow it to topple. We are like the wobble. You hit us and we will come back with a vengeance and transition from being women to super women with all the inherent qualities and expectations. So if you threw bricks at us, we will make a brick wall or firewall in the tech world, if you would so please. So I think this becomes very important. Now, in just 2 minutes and before I close, what I want to tell everybody is that the Department of Science and Technology is huge in terms of funding, is huge in terms of connect, because we are connected to two very important Government of India projects called the Technology Business Incubator and the Nidhi Prayas scheme at the DST level. And also we have huge connect the dot with BIRAC, which is a biotechnology research institution. We are also connected to BioNest, to InBreed and BCIL, and we'll be very, very happy to have. And this, so we are also speaking at a very, very nice cusp of time where Bicon's Kiran Majumdar Shaw has just been awarded the EY 2020 Woman Entrepreneur Award. And I just mentioned Milan Ghosle. So it's, we are circle in many ways with Meenal Ghosle becoming a Corona war kit. And then the season ending very nicely with our first biotech entrepreneur, Mrs. Kiran Majumdar Shaw, bagging this EY 2020 International Woman Entrepreneur Award. And believe you me, she is a scientist. Okay, so this is, Corona has told you that there is no better time today than to be a science entrepreneur. During a Stride conference, we also had the benefit of having all the three secretaries of the Department of Science and Technology, of Biotechnology, and of DPIIT, which is for internal industrial policy and internal trade. And we were told that there is a cabinet note which has been put up by the Department of DPIIT, which is going to facilitate lot of credit guarantee scheme for seeding of startups. And this is going to be very, very useful for our startups. And since Chintan is here, Chintan, you must look out for this opportunity for the credit guarantee fund, which is, once it is approved by the cabinet, and also a lot of tax benefits that are going to accrue to the startups, apart from the fact that you would want to connect them to the angel investors. In my little experience that I had of working in RICO and also now in DST, connected with the startup ecosystem, I found that a lot of focus of the startups has been on the fintech and also on the craft, the soft, So two words of advice, if I am permitted. One is that, I am a little wary of the underbelly of technology, because, what is happening is that we are all awed by the startup culture, and we are doing incremental innovation. But what we need is to do a market study and be address, like you do a research paper, you need to address a problem in society. Your startup should be able to solve some core problem of society, just as research is expected to be translational in nature. Your startup is also expected to be a problem solver. It should have generic USP, so that people say that, okay, you cannot have old wine in new bottles, or you cannot have umpteen number of the same startups. Just like in the field of intellectual property rights and patents, you have something called a prior art search. Before you patent any new innovation capable of becoming an invention, or capable of getting commercialized and accruing royalty, you do a fact check of whether a similar kind of a design or a similar kind of a patent does not pre-exist. That is something that is not happening in the field of startups, and you have umpteen number of startups addressing the same problem in the same manner. So there is no difference either in the product, except for the nomenclature, maybe you call it differently, or in the process in which it tries to address the problem. Are doing is, please move from fintech, because fintech is basically being funded by banks who usurp or or co-opt your startup for their own purposes. So that is basically getting lost at the back end. But what we need to now also do, because banks are not funding the science startups, but they are being funded hugely by organizations like BIRAC. You have the big grant which gives 50 lakhs for science startups. So my request to Chintan and to everybody here on the platform is to also look at science startup, which is a forte of the Department of Science and Technology. And we work very closely with all the premier research institutions. And along with that, I think, Chintan, we have spoken about this, and through this platform, I want to reach out to everybody, including August members of the audience who might be in the field and doing a lot of startup hand-holding in one way or the other, or are entrepreneurs themselves. Two things, and I end with that. One is, please work and handhold startups, be they women entrepreneurs, be they men entrepreneurs, on building contracts, because ultimately it's documentation which sustains, how you negotiate finances with banks and other financial lending organizations, how you negotiate with the market through your legal platforms or through your legal documents. And also, please bring back the focus on science, because there's a lot of money. If you look at the Government of India corpus through various 7 or 8 ministries which are integrated, we have about 60,000 crores in the kitty, and we will be happy to open the portals of that for developing science-based enterprise and science-based startups. And this is a changed world where the traditional 4 factors of production, land, labor, capital, and enterprise stand changed, and we have 3. At least I like to believe that we have 2, if not 3, new factors of production, which is ideation and technology. And ideation and technology can be the Archimedes lever to move and shake the world, and to become movers and shakers of the world. So with these words and a lot of gratitude, and thank you, because I see Atul smiling and telling me that, ma'am, it's time. So thank you very much for the opportunity, and I hope my 2 bits of bites will be useful for people who are working. And please feel free to connect to the Department of Science and Technology. Good day. And I wish the conference, the summit, the 2 days of deliberations to be successful, and good luck to all the organizers and to the audience. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. And it's always a delight to listen to you, and we will definitely reach out to you with fresh ideas to work with the Department of Science and Technology, how we can collaborate further in this regard. And now I would request our Dr. Omkar, Director General, Software Technology Parks of India. In fact, he is a great supporter of all of our digital initiatives since last 4 or 5 years, and has completely transformed the way STPI used to be looked at and working in recent years. And he is, as I said, the Director General of STPI, and is working on the promotion of IT, ITS, and ESDM industry in India. And he brings over 25 years of experience in IT and ESDM sector, having a unique distinction of working very closely with government as well as the industry. He is also on the board of director of MTNL STPI IT Services Limited, National Internet Exchange of India, and Haryana State Electronics Development Corporation Limited. And he is contributing immensely in shaping the programs and policies of these entities, and he is also governing board of School of Open Learning, Delhi University, and board of governors of Indian Institute of Information Technology, Bhubaneswar. So over to you, sir.
So good morning to all of you. I am very thankful to FICCI, and I must congratulate them for organizing this Rajasthan WomenPreneur Summit, and for bringing a very exciting topic on that, bringing a great list of people, great panelists, role models, policymakers, successful entrepreneurs, ecosystem facilitators, and I am very happy and very lucky that I had an opportunity to listen to all these people. I learned a lot. I'm sure that the audience at large must be benefiting from the kind of discourse that is taking place on very great forum. So, on this virtual platform, I would say that the distinguished panelists, Ms. Mugdha Sinha ji, Ms. Namita Gautam ji, Ms. Neeta Boochra, Mr. Chintan Bakshi, Dr. Ajay Data, Mr. Atul Sharma, and other participants. It's my great privilege and honor to be here. I must say that this whole discourse of a Womenpreneur Summit, which is actually focused on the challenges, opportunities, and contribution achievements of women in terms of entrepreneurship, is absolutely great, timely. For me, having seen and worked and shared things with the women leader, particularly in the field of information technology, like Rekha Menon, Devajani Ghosh, Devrati Rai, a industry leader like Kiran Shah Majumdar, and such other women leaders who are heading several technology companies, helping creation of certain products, leading startups. I am sure that women are nor less or more than men, and therefore, as other people, other sectors where there has been inhibition, some kind of restriction, some kind of reservation, they also require some focused dissemination of information, and so that they can be brought in the same league, same platform, same page, like their other counterparts. However, India is actually a country where a lot of inequality is still stage, a lot of depravity is there. There are rural areas, there are urban areas, there are areas where you have great access to education, health, and other facilities. There are areas which are not having those facilities. And therefore, wherever women get those facilities equal to men, they do wonders. They work and lead ahead of men. That is what I have understood while working with the IT industry. That is my fortress. That is what I have been doing all my lifetime. Particularly, you also know that the IT industry of India, which is worth $191 billion with $147 billion export, there the contribution of women is close to 35%. Women workforce, they are manned by women workforce up to 35%. And you know that India is a home to R&D as a service, product creation as a service. And therefore, you can easily make out and extrapolate as to 35% of the contribution goes from Indian women in terms of most of the technologies that are being developed all over the world, in US and Europe. And that is the kind of contribution that women of India are making. I am not much aware about the contribution of women in other sectors of economy, but in the sector of economy where I work to, I am acquaintances. I can say that women are actually the leaders of several projects. You know that of late, the ISRO, DRDO, and such other strategic sectors of this nation, the women have made a lot of difference. They have actually made a lot of great things happen on the ground. And we all know that. So therefore, this discourse of, women-centric discourse is not that mainstream anymore. But still, it is very important because women has to be, or the women of those areas, those sectors where they are not having equality in terms of getting access to information, access to opportunity. At least this forum has to work as a information dissemination panel, information dissemination platform. And therefore, I must again thank FICCI for bringing role models like story of Srimati Sheela Gautam, whom I had an honor to meet in, I think, mid of 90s when she was member parliament. And I know the kind of person she was, the kind of entrepreneur she was. And I'm aware about the story, and I truly believe the story narrated by Namita Gautam. Other women leaders like Mugdha and Neeta Boochra. I think it was excellent discourse that has been presented, extended in front of us. And I must say that, in fact, these discourses are no more required because people of India are aware now that there is no difference between the potential, quality, and capacity of men and women. And therefore, I will take this, talk forward by saying that as per any statistic, Dr. Ajay Data has given a statistics in his opening remark, and I was very happy to know about this information. He said that during last decade, the contribution of women, share of women entrepreneurship has grown from 14% to 20%. He also said that between this time, the total entrepreneurial contribution that has been made by women has risen to 20%. That's a great information that has been shared by him. But I would say that this percentage is just a statistics, because if the entire population is participating, included in the journey of entrepreneurship or development or growth, then only you can compare the growth. Women have in most part of the country deliberately, consciously led to chose to be home, to create families, make families, despite that they had equal capability, great access to great education. But now this instance has been changing. Now women are actually not only managing home, but they are also coming out and trying their hands in the terms of entrepreneurship. And that can be reflected, that can be seen from the data that we have, that in the field of startup ecosystem that is taking shape for last few years, the role of women has grown substantially. About 30%, 5% of the women are there in the board of director of the startups ecosystem of India. I mean, that's a great number because that board of director which leads the entire startup ecosystem, and that number is up to 35%. That is the management board. That's the decision-making board. That is the leading board, and that signifies the growing role of women in terms of giving leadership to upcoming startup ecosystem of this country. And I would again cite another data which is very significant, that the startup that has been technology startup, I would say, that has been founded over a period of last few years, the 10% are the women who have co-founded with men counterparts these technology startups. So that means the 10% of the startups have been actually founded by women. That goes to so. That means that in times to come, the share of women in terms of entrepreneurship, in terms of economic development of this country, bringing prosperity, job creation, the women contribution is going to grow. And therefore, let us not compare apple and orange, because women are either apple or orange and men are apple or orange, whatever. I mean, we cannot compare. They are different creatures with different capacities, different competences, and in certain areas they are good, certain areas they are better. So they are actually incomparable. What I am trying to say is that during this post-COVID, this COVID times, we have seen a lot of transformation in this country. The entire IT industry of India has shown such a resilience that it is least impacted because it quickly adopted to work from home culture. It has also, been able to deliver and keep the, client side in US and Europe up. Whatever disruption the IT industry of India has seen is because of the disruption happening at the client side in US and Europe. And therefore, IT industry, which is actually the most modern industry created by Indians, with 4.3 million professionals working all across the value chain, they are the people who are actually driving most of the R&D, which is happening all across the world. And the contribution of women is absolutely significant in the whole work that we are doing. However, we must also know that after post-COVID, what we are going to see, what are the opportunities that we are which are going to come in front of us. I would say that the gaming technology sector, the financial technology sector, the health technology, medical technology sector, the educational technology sector, all these four sectors are going to see much traction on the ground, much opportunity they are going to offer, and much is happening in this sector. These are the sectors which will actually lead the growth of this nation in terms of wealth creation, startup creation. And there, I would say that the startups of today, young boys and girls who are watching this, watching this talk, watching this FICCI seminar, they must, try their hands, have some hopes. Technologies like Industry 4.0 technology like AI, IoT, cloud, machine learning, computer vision, game animation, AR, VR, all these technologies which are mainstream technologies, all these technologies are not only going to, propel Industry 4.0 revolution in this country and the country outside, but they are also the technologies which will be used to transform the entire landscape of product and platform that will be created or are being created to transform the entire delivery. B2B delivery, B2C delivery in terms of these sectors that I have just counted, like health tech, edutech, game tech, and such others. The technologies are actually going to transform the entire delivery. We had platforms, we had products, but all these products are going to use modern technologies to make the things real life experience, to make classroom experience, operation theater experience. So technologies are going to stay. They are going to be utilized in times to come. Fortunately for us, India is a IT superpower in terms of IT services, with the entire talent flowing from bottom to up. But I'm very sure that in times to come, young boys and girls of this nation would definitely like to join the journey of entrepreneurship. They would like to try hand with ideation and problem solving skills. They can become entrepreneurs of today and tomorrow, and they can create in turn a lot of job, wealth, and value for this country. I would say that Rajasthan, my experience has been very great. Rajasthan is a place where a lot of things can happen in fintech sector. To best of my information, Rajasthan is the one state which creates, produces largest number of chartered accountant in the entire country. There are two districts perhaps in the Rajasthan which are the district from where most of the chartered accountants are produced. That's a great number. And for owing to the fact that the Deutsche Bank, when I was the development commissioner of Mahindra World SEZ during 2008 to 2011, I was the person who interacted with Deutsche Bank and asked why you want to come to Jaipur, and they informed me that Jaipur is the place where they can source lot of several chartered accountants who are needed for the business operations. I must say that we must explore these possibilities. Software Technology Parks of India is actually creating 28 Centre of Excellence in most of the upcoming emerging technologies in collaborative manner, in collaboration with the state, industry, academia, and all. What we want is that we want to, provide much needed infrastructure, a flexible environment, a much needed pool of mentors, investors, angel investors, so that young boys and girls, as soon as they have ideas, they have decision to solve some problem, they have some problem solving tendencies, they can come to us and join this whole movement that we are trying to create in this country. Rajasthan, again, I would say that is doing great in terms of the software export. The export made by IT industry in Rajasthan has risen to 2,300 crore with about 24,000 professionals, engineers employed in the industry. That is the base where from the mentors can be. You still have the benefit of cost arbitrage. You can the startups can engage the experts who are developing products, technology, and other solutions for their customers. So the whole ecosystem is there. With these few words, I won't take much time. I must again thank FICCI and the magnificent panel, all these leaders, women leaders who have shared their thoughts to us. I learned a lot from the deliberations, the talk that has been given by these women leaders. With this, I must thank you all again and say that it's a great honor and opportunity to be with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And now I would request Ms. Wandana Parnami, Chairperson, Jaipur Chapter FICCI Ladies Organization, for both of us. Thank you. Over to you, ma'am. You have to unmute yourself.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of FICCI and our partners, I would like to extend my sincere thanks and gratitude to Dr. Omkar Rai, Director General, Software Technology Parks of India, for joining us today and sharing his vision towards women entrepreneurship ecosystem. Sir, your address was truly inspirational. I also thank Ms. Mugdha Sinha, Secretary, Science and Technology, Government of Rajasthan, for enlightening us with various initiatives taken by Government of Rajasthan. I would also like to thank Ms. Neeta Boochra, Ms. Namita Gautam, Dr. Ajay Datta, and Mr. Chintan Bakshi for sharing their views. In the current year of the pandemic, we all know that the whole world is going to reboot itself, and we need to press the reset button. As you all rightly said, we need to curate and find pathways to move ahead, embracing digital era, being minimalist, taking care of the environment, self-sustainability, just to mention a few. I strongly feel every adversity opens a door of opportunity, but we have to be alert enough to catch that opportunity. So before we close, I would like to thank all our partners for the event: Flow Jaipur Chapter, Kajaria Ceramics Limited, Shree Cement Limited, Software Technology Parks of India, and Startup Oasis. We are truly grateful to the participants from various parts of the country for being part of this virtual summit. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Wandana. In fact, tomorrow's pitching session, Chintan ji, Wandana ji could be a good resource for there also, because she is involved in this art and craft industry. We will talk about it. Thank you to all the speakers. Now the inaugural session speakers may kindly log off. Thank you for your presence. We will start with the first session in a short while. Thank you. Thank you very much.